What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Charleston Area Living Live. We've got Mr. Jeffrey Gregg in the house.
Hello.
Jeffrey.
Oh, applause even.
Yeah, I got applause for you. And then we have Mr. Landon Kale in the house from Atlantic Bay Mortgage. How are you, Landon?
Doing well, gents. How y'all doing?
Oh, now why do I get just like normal applause and he gets people cheering and going insane in the voice?
Because he's like a boy band. Look at him. He's pretty and everything.
He is pretty. He's the prettiest lender out there.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So we do these lives every week on Tuesday nights at 7. Just for you. We want to hear all the questions that you have for us tonight. We've got a mortgage specialist on tonight as well. So if you got specific mortgage questions, Landon would love to answer them. The only difference between Landon and us is he probably won't make up the answers like we do. He has actual knowledge of this stuff. So that's a good thing, right? You'll get a true answer. But we want to hear from you down in the comments. Go ahead and post it. We'll get your questions up on screen and try to answer them. And let's get into it. Jeff, you having a good week?
Yeah. I was spent today. Actually, my day was better than yours was today, I'm guessing.
Yes.
I was out at Horizons today. We did a a home inspection at Horizons. We're closing on a house out there next week. Pretty good inspection. We had, I think, 13 items on the list, and kind of, in my opinion, anything under 25 is a win.
Yes.
So we'll be meeting with the builder tomorrow to review those. And there's nothing scary on there. All little stuff that'll get fixed before we close up next week.
But that's the advantage of having an inspection, right? I mean, like,
yeah, I would never buy a house without an inspection. So if you have the ability, when you build from the ground up, we encourage 2 of them. We encourage a pre-drywall home inspection because that's the only time you're ever going to see everything behind the walls, the rafters, the HVAC, ductwork, all that kind of stuff. And then usually an inspection about, if it's a new construction, we're doing it about 10 days out before close. If it's an existing home that we're purchasing, normally we're doing those pretty quickly after we go under contract.
Yeah. And then we would recommend a third one too after you close, about 10 months in to living there, because most builders will have a 1-year mechanical warranty or bumper-to-bumper warranty. I mean, so get those inspections done, hand that report over to the builder, and now you're ready to rock for your 1-year warranty, so you get the best bang for your buck.
I did all 3 on mine. So we built from the ground up here in Carnes, and I did all 3. And actually, the last one picked up something that was missed by myself and the inspectors, honestly, before we closed. The seat in the shower was just tilted just a little bit the wrong way. Like, you couldn't see it to look at it. And it was just enough that it was holding some pooling water. So at the 10-month, I did that inspection, and I was going to tell them to fix it anyway, but I was just able to have that on a report to actually hand them, saying it when they actually came in and tore the entire shower down and redid the whole thing.
Nice. So you weren't excited about that, I would imagine.
No, I mean, it did stink. I wish we would have caught it beforehand, but it was such a minor just deviation of the slant that it was easy to miss, and I missed it.
So you remember when you were a kid and like you got super excited about something, and then like you wanted it to happen before it was even here?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time, right?
All the time.
Right. So I think
it was called dinner.
Got their Oktoberfest messed up a little bit. They have an Oktoberfest coming up because, you know, October's right around the corner for an event. And instead of in October, it's in September.
It's so exciting they couldn't wait until October to do it.
Yeah. I think they said, hey, everybody else is doing it in October. We're going to be first and do it in September.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, maybe we have like a Christmas party in August.
Right? Hey,
well,
that might be our next event.
all the stores keep putting. I mean, don't you feel like the stores are putting stuff out earlier and earlier every year? Like there's already, well, not already, but I've seen Halloween stuff for like a month now.
Landon, have you ever been to one of those Oktoberfests?
Not like your traditional German ones.
Yeah,
I've been
like around here. Like Holy City Brewery is doing that one in Park Circle. Like, would you go to that?
Yeah, I mean, I live 9 minutes from Park Circle, so yeah, I'd do
it. September 21st at 11 a.m. They're drinking early that day. Couple other, we got a fall festival coming up at the Masonic Lodge. There's a car show coming up right in Nexton. It's going to be an auto show on October 5th. And then there's a couple other Oktoberfests, one at Hutchinson Square on October 5th. So you could go get your auto show on because you wouldn't want to drink before seeing the auto show, right?
Well, not if you're going to drive there, I guess.
Yeah.
Uber,
so go see the auto show, Uber, and then Uber over to Hutchinson Square and get your Oktoberfest going on.
I'm having a problem with my new car.
What?
So I got this new Hyundai Palisade, and it's got like all the toys in it, and it's got this thing that it'll if it senses something in front of you, it'll automatically put the brakes on.
Oh yeah.
And so I had the Bronco before that was wrapped, and this one's not wrapped. So I haven't been in a car wash for years. And so I went to the car wash a little bit ago, and I put it in neutral. But then halfway through the car wash, it sensed the brushes coming down in front of the car, and it locked it up. And it was one of them wheel things that had the wheels behind you pushing the car through.
Yeah.
I shut the whole thing down, baby. Everything shut down. People were stuck in the car wash, and I had no idea what I did wrong.
And everybody behind you is like, who's the idiot up front putting their brakes on?
Yeah, that was me. So I've been watching YouTube trying to figure out how to fix it. And I think I see how to fix it, but I can't trust it. So I have to test it out. So tomorrow when we're at the office, I want to go put the car in neutral on a little bit of a hill and have you stand in front of the car, and I'm going to let the brakes go. And I want to see if it hits you.
I think that's a job for Landon, not for me.
I don't think so.
Landon would help a brother out.
Get a totally box.
Miss Demeanor's in the house. She says you guys give such valuable information. First time home by her. Thank you so much. And then she had a question. What areas had water problems with Tropical Storm Debbie? Landon, did you have water issues over at your house?
No. I mean, every street closer to downtown Charleston will get a little water here and there, but nothing bad. I mean, I was actually, funny enough, not in town, but I'm just talking to the neighbors. So that was the week I was in California. So I completely missed it. But all the neighbors we talked to said it was actually worse during our normal, like spring, summer afternoon showers was probably worse than that. So I don't think it had any bad issues or anything.
Yeah. So Carnes, the water went over a little bit, right, Jeff? Over the edges a little bit.
The lake was full, nothing onto the streets and nothing even close to houses. Now there was areas over on the Dorchester Road side of town that did have some houses get some water, but those houses are in flood zones. So the whole area is technically a flood zone. This is called the Low Country. But what we're looking for in our houses is to be in an X flood zone. So X flood zone is really the one that just doesn't ever flood. You don't have to have flood insurance on your house if you live in that type of a zone. And the vast majority of the houses that we sell in most of these neighborhoods in Summerville are in X flood zones. We did have a little water in Cane Bay, Mark, I heard a couple areas.
Yeah, there's so a couple areas got actually into homes. Saxony Lake, there was a couple, and then I think one or two in Meridian as well. Now there were roads shut down. We were supposed to shelter in place, but besides those two areas, no water got into actual homes. But it wasn't safe to travel on the roads for, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 hours total, something like that.
Yeah, I drove through the next day.
Yeah. And we got some good drone video of that. We showed it last week and 2 weeks ago. We showed some of the water. That was actually the last day of Hurricane Debbie. She was more in North Carolina and just sat there and dumped a bunch of rain. Like we got 9 inches of rain, I think, here in Cane Bay in 6 hours. So
that wasn't expected. Like
No.
that was not on anybody's radar. Literally, we did not think it was going to do that.
9 inches in 6 hours.
In 6 hours, yeah.
Man, I picked a great time to head west.
Yeah, I'm guessing your weather in San Diego was a little bit more friendly.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Mark called me. I think it was a Sunday, I think, Mark. And I'm sitting there on the computer. I'd pull up my wife's hotspot and doing some stuff for Mark real fast. We were driving somewhere. And Mark was like, yeah, what are you up to? I was like, oh, I'm just driving, whatever. We're going here in San Diego to check this out, whatever. And I was like, yeah, it's beautiful out here. It's sunny. There's no humidity. And I think this is like when the rain was just starting to come. And then I started seeing everybody on Facebook like, oh, I'm so happy the sky is finally blue again and yada, yada, yada. Completely missed it.
San Diego does have nice weather. They have really nice house prices to go with it, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'll tell you what, if I will, there's lots of reasons why people like living in South Carolina over California. We won't get into that. But I will say if it were a cheaper place to live, I would totally buy an Airbnb somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Totally. It's phenomenal.
So, since we're talking about house prices, let me give a little market minute. Is that okay?
Do it.
Yeah.
Bring it.
So we got some stats in for year to date. That includes July. And July was a good month, actually. Transactions were up 12.3% over last July. So I thought that was interesting since really July kind of starts the slowdown for the rest of the year. 40% of all housing sales are usually in that February to June timeframe. So I thought that was interesting. We were up from last year. Overall activity for the year is similar to last year, though. Year to date, we're up 1.7% in transactions versus the same period in 2023. There are some areas that were up more than others, of course. But meanwhile, prices continue to go up. So median sale for the entire area is $430. But I want to talk a little bit specifically about last week as far as what went under contract. So one of the areas I was a little shocked about, and I guess not really shocked, but the median price now in that area for last week on those ones that went under contract is $1 million. So 15 homes were sold. 7 of them were over 1 million, and that's in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
So that's a hopping area, obviously, with that price. But if you want to save some bucks, Jeff, can you guess what the median price for just last week on the 35 that went under contract, what it might have been in Summerville?
$420.
Don't answer that yet. I'm going to say $445.
$445. It was actually only $375.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, $375. If you include that Hanahan, Goose Creek, Monk's Corner area, that was $393. So $195, $192 a square foot is about our area compared to the $1 million you're going to spend over in Mount Pleasant.
I'll tell you, Summerville just becomes more and more a great place to be. 14 years ago when I bought here, I bought my house, and there was about a $150,000 swing between my house and if you were to put my house in Mount Pleasant, because that builder was building that same exact model in both areas. I was out in Knightsville, and they were putting that same model in Mount Pleasant. It was about 150 more. Then it's been just not even creeping up. It's been flying up. You know, I told somebody the other day that I thought it was about a $300,000 swing for an apples to apples comparison, Summerville to Mount Pleasant. And based on what you're saying now, it's becoming even more.
Yeah. What do you think? So there's going to be a new Del Webb that's going to be in Point Hope area. So almost Charleston, kind of in between here in Charleston. What do you think the increase is going to be over like a Del Webb Nexton?
I think it'll be at least 250,000.
Yeah.
I think that the $600,000 base house or the $500,000. Well, what's the average base house in Del Webb Nexton? Probably 500.
Yeah.
I would think that 500 will be more like 750 or 800 as a base down there when they really get to swinging hammers.
Yeah, and the funny thing is it's not all that much closer to Charleston if you don't have traffic, because you have to go all the way down Clements Ferry or go all the way up to Wando area.
Pretty north, yeah. It's up the coast a ways.
Yeah.
And there's nice stuff. There's all the shopping out there. It's going to be a great area. It's not like it's out in the country. It's a good area, but hey, listen, for those of you that want to be a little closer to the ocean, we're going to be plenty happy to sell those houses when it comes in. We've already got people that are telling us we're ready to go down to Del Webb down there when they open. We've got people lined up already.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the car show in Nexton. Remember when we were filming over in Four Seasons and somebody came up with one of their fancy cars? That's one of our
Mark.
Yeah. So Mark is going to be in that car show with
is he?
Hovnanian Hellcats.
Hold on. I took a picture of me with his car over at here it is right here. Here it is.
That thing is a beast.
Yeah, it growls at you. Remember, we were trying to do video and he's pulling away. We had to wait and do video because it was barking at us as it was driving away.
Yeah. He didn't ruin our video, luckily, but
no,
we would
you didn't
we would forgive him even if he did. Even if he did.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'll have to try to go down there. I've always wanted to go. Remember, I had that 1994 Geo Tracker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's not car show material, buddy.
I think it was an antique. It could have been classified as an antique. I always wanted to show up with that. All right, Allie says, "Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to speak with us this afternoon."
Did you talk to her today?
You weren't on with Allie. Yeah, I did today. Dwayne and I were on.
Yeah,
nice people. They're coming down here this Saturday. Hey, Allie, good news. I made some headway, I think, with that thing we were talking about with the out there at Horizon. So I think I'm going to have good news by tomorrow. Nice. Her husband teaches EMS up in Ohio.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to talk about medic stuff the whole time, and we got to talk about, does my farm truck qualify? Diana Johnson. Is there going to be a farm animal in the back of it?
I could see her pulling up with her farm truck. I could absolutely see that.
Did you hear what happened when we went out to her farm last year? We took a ride out, and she had a quad out there, and she was taking my kids, and then Andrea decided she wanted to go for a ride in the quad also. So they go tooling off into the great blue yonder there, and ran out of gas, or the thing broke out or something. Like Andrea broke the quad. I don't know what the end story was, but they had fun.
He says, "Be nice."
I bring your horse carrots when I come out there. I am nice.
Yeah. So with prices going up continuously, what Landon, does it make sense to buy something now, even if you're not going to live in it? Like, what is your take on that?
I think it really just depends on everybody's own unique situation, right? So, I mean, there's not really a one-size-fits-all box in buying a house, but the biggest thing for a lot of people is trying to time up when they're going to retire and what income are they going to have when they retire and all that good stuff. I mean, just from us in general, the amount of people we've done loans for from California, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Washington State, name it, New England or out west. The biggest thing I see with a lot of people is maybe one spouse is still working, one spouse is retired, and they're thinking about buying before they fully retire. Sometimes that makes perfect sense to do because sometimes people don't have enough pension income or Social Security income coming in yet because maybe they're waiting to take Social Security for a later date to maximize their Social Security earnings. So to use that employment income at that higher amount, because usually most people are retiring at the top end of their income spectrum, to go ahead and try to buy now before they actually fully retire, or for certain first-time home buyers or people that are in the Charleston market already and renting. Sometimes it makes a little bit more sense for them, depending on how much cash we have available. Try not to play the market. I think a lot of people in today's world that are kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting for that perfect opportunity for rates to be lower or have that massive drop everybody's waiting to happen, hopefully this fall. They think that they're going to time this out perfect, where you're going to have low rates but also low home prices. But usually when the low rates happen, the home prices start creeping up because more people have just entered the market. So it really just depends on people's own unique situation. Sometimes it does make sense for certain people to maybe wait a little bit. But I would say for people that are in the transitional side of life of looking to retire and where they're going to retire to, sometimes it's better to have that conversation before you actually quit your job. I'm doing a loan right now for a couple moving here from California, funny enough, right outside of LA. And before that husband retire, we're buying a house for him, because once he does fully retire, their income is going to be significantly lower. So it really just depends on everybody's own unique situation.
And then I've had some people recently say they want to wait until the election because they feel like it's going to really change the landscape of mortgages. I did some Jeff Gregg research, not Landon Kale research, but Jeff Gregg research. I can't see any big correlation between presidential election times and changes in mortgage rates. Have you known there to be a big dip or an increase or any reason to pay attention to the elections?
I don't think the election in general is going to have a huge impact, but with everything that's been going on in the world today with inflation and everything, maybe a little bit. I would definitely say people are hopeful that everything's going to time out perfectly this fall with the Fed announcements and the Fed meetings happening in September with the election cycle. Maybe this year might have a little bit more of a swing in there. But historically speaking, the election cycle doesn't necessarily automatically mean we're going to have lower mortgage rates. There could be other things going on in the economy at the same time that kind of drive any correlation there. But it's not just an automatic flip of the switch that whoever's in office or the incumbent, regardless of party, is able just to magically press a button, flip a switch to lower rates for the election cycle. So maybe over the years you'll see some correlation, but nothing that's just an automatic, it's going to happen. But I would say this year, it could, funny enough, correlate perfectly with just everything else that's going on.
Well, what we know, or what we think we know, is that home prices are going to continue to rise year over year over year in this market. Home prices and real estate in general are driven by several things. One of the major things they're driven by is jobs. And Charleston has a very healthy job market. We don't have enough people here to fill the jobs that we have. So I think if we look at that, we would say, okay, the real estate market is going to continue to grow. And when that does, the home prices continue to grow. Even if it's a 4 or 5% increase year over year over year, waiting the $500,000 house is going to probably cost $520,000 or $525,000 next year. So I hate to sound like a commercial, but there's a lot to be said for buy the houses now when we're seeing some significant price decreases and some great deals in houses because of all the new construction. And then if we do see an interest rate drop, then it makes sense to refinance. Typically, what's that amount? If it drops 0.5%, we should pay attention to it. A 1%. How much does a rate need to drop before it makes sense maybe to refinance?
It's really based on loan amount. So if somebody has like a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 loan amount, then a 0.5 point decrease is going to be way more of a significant savings as somebody with a $100,000 or $150,000 loan amount, right? Depending on how long they've been in that loan. So I think it really just depends on what their current loan amount is, or really what their loan amount was when they originally got that house. So always have the conversation, have the phone calls set up just to kind of run those numbers whenever that day does happen. But I would realistically say the higher your loan amount, 4 or 5 plus, maybe a 0.5 point, 0.75. If you've got a $150,000 loan or a $100,000 loan, you haven't been in that house long enough, maybe you need a full point to a point and a half before you really start to look at it. Because I was running numbers for a lady that's buying new construction right now with Lennar, and a 1% difference in her payment because her loan amount was only going to be about $158,000. That 1 point difference, I think, was a little over $100 a month or $100 a month. So, I mean, her life isn't going to change significantly. But if you look at a $500,000 loan, a 1% difference, I mean, fast math is at least $350 to $400 a month in savings. So it really just depends on the loan amount and what the overall savings is going to be, if you should even do it.
Jeff, that's your golf cart payment right there.
Yeah, right? Refinance your loan, get on to Joe's Carts, get you a new golf cart. We'll pay for it with the savings.
It makes sense to me. I mean,
Landon, if somebody does a loan with your company, what is the cost typically to refinance a loan?
So if they get their loan through us, so if the loan we are refinancing was originated by Atlantic Bay originally, then as long as they've made 6 payments on that loan, then they're eligible for a current customer incentive. We started that program about March or April of 2022 because we saw the rising interest rates and a lot of people were kind of hesitant to buy. So to kind of mitigate some of those concerns, we implemented this program in March or April, and that's for everybody who even bought a house before then too. So as long as you've gotten at least 6 payments on your loan, you're eligible for a percentage of whatever loan amount we're refinancing to come back as a lender credit. So there's a few variables in that. So if you have a $500,000 loan, we'll give a bigger credit than if somebody has a $100,000 loan because there's more money on the loan to give in a $500,000 than a $100,000 loan. Typically on closing costs, when you don't look at what the lender fees are, but just the overall generic fees for a refinance to include the appraisal, if we have to order an appraisal, the attorney's fees, new recording fees, the bank origination fee, all those things, the immediate closing costs on a refinance typically are between $3,000 and $3,500. The major difference is whether or not we have to order that appraisal or not, because there's some times where we don't have to order an appraisal. Like a VA refinance, we don't ever have to order an appraisal unless somebody takes equity out through a cash out option. And some conventional loans, depending on how much equity you have, we don't have to order that appraisal. So that's why you're seeing that $500 swing. So that's the average, I would say, is $3,000 and $3,500. The one benefit to refinancing, though, is you don't have to pay that money out of your own pocket. If you wanted to save the money and roll that into the balance of your loan, the cost of refinancing, you totally can do that if you wanted to. Some people want to pay it out of pocket. It really depends on what somebody wants to do, if they want to roll it in or pay it out of pocket. The one bad thing I will say and tell everybody on this that's watching live currently or will watch in the future is whenever you see kind of advertisements or online ads where it says no cost to refi, there's costs in there. You're not going to get an attorney to work for free. They're just saying no cost out of your pocket because they're rolling it in. There's still costs. It just depends if we roll it in. Do you physically write a check for it or something? So be very mindful of that. That's kind of a bad advertising gimmick that I just really don't appreciate and think we're already so heavily regulated. Why don't we regulate that statement?
No, I've seen some of that. I was driving down the road the other day and I saw a billboard that said, mortgages at 4%. Well, of course,
significantly.
You could do a mortgage at 4%, but the money just doesn't fall from the sky. A dollar comes from somewhere. And they're just spending. I mean, you can spend, correct me if I'm wrong, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to buy down a rate into the, a couple 3 points lower, depending on the size of the loan. Is that right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know the billboard you're talking about, and that particular company, I actually saw one of their fee sheets a couple months ago with somebody that they were already working with me. Their financial advisor told them to call me, and I guess their agent works or recommended that other company. And I saw the fee sheet. And this was back before it was 4.9 or whatever they're advertising now. I think it was in the mid 5s or low 5s. And it was $38,000 of discount points. So yeah, they had the rate on there, but they sold $38,000 in discount points.
It's very frustrating. Now, one of the things, you often compete with new builder mortgage companies, and you've won a bunch, and I've had you call me up and say, that's a good deal. They should go with that company, which, I appreciate about you. But let's talk through that for a minute. So a lot of the mortgage companies or the builders will give you $5,000 in closing costs to use their preferred mortgage company. And so I have people ask Mark and I all the time, like, should I do that? Well, first of all, $5,000 doesn't always equal $5,000 because, their fees, your fees, at the end of the day, a dollar is a dollar. Whenever we've had ones that give $18,000 towards closing costs. And, I've called you on those before and you've said, absolutely, go with that company. I'll never touch that.
Yeah.
But where we've had some conversations with people is the builders mortgage companies. Sometimes we've had those deals blow up 2 and 3 days before the close. And we've had to step in and redo the deal, and you ended up getting it closed, but now we're 2-3 weeks after where we thought we were going to close. If you're somebody that's going to put down 50% on a loan and you've got a 750 credit score and tons of money in the bank and you got plenty of money to put down and you're a home run from the mortgage, okay, then let's, if it's $10, $15, $18,000, we'll go with that other company. But where I've seen you really shine sometimes are with people like me. I'm self-employed. And so anytime there's something that's just a little bit weird, it sometimes makes sense to talk to somebody like Landon. Mark, we on the same page there?
Yeah, I totally agree. We've got 2 good lenders that we use all the time, Landon being one of them. And, he just gets it done. He's the type of person that if we need him to close something in 10 days, he's done that before. Not that that's the norm or we want it to be the norm because we want to give him the time to do the loan properly. But there's sometimes that it just has to be done. Landon, you also will meet virtually because we deal with so many people out of state, and we've had you on different meetings and whatnot. And, you have no problem doing that usually, right?
No, as long as we schedule it and it's on the calendar, we're totally good on that.
Yeah. So that kind of leads into, we like to do Zoom calls. We want to give you all the answers. We do these lives so that we can try to answer as many questions as we can. But we would love to do a Zoom call to talk about your specific situation. If we need to pull Landon onto that call, we can definitely do that. You can click on this link down here, schedule meeting after the charlestonarealiving.com. And that'll pop right into our calendars. And we can talk all about your specific situation, the lifestyle that you want to live, and then get Landon on to help with financing and all of that too.
Yeah, and kind of going back to kind of the new construction piece, if it's $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, it's pretty easily competed with. There's really not a big deal there. But like what Jeff was saying, 12, 15, 18,000. Hey, just go with the builder's lender in that situation because there's no way I can physically come up with that much cash because there's not even that much revenue in those loans at that amount. But the one part is if it's $15,000, $18,000, sometimes $20,000, and their lender turns you down, 99% of the time they'll give me the same credits to play with, which is kind of like, hey, see if they figure it out. If not, I'll probably get the same amount of credits to use on the back end.
We've done that multiple times. The builder's mortgage company couldn't get it done, and Landon did, and then we still had access to those dollars. So that's really been a home run. And what kind of drove me a little bit insane is the couple deals that you've done those for, at least one that I can remember, you came back and said, Jeff, I don't know what the problem was. Like there was nothing scary about this deal. They should have been able to do this. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't get it done. And you did. And it's not like we were pushing the limits. Like the last thing any of the three of us want is somebody being house poor. Like if you can't afford this house, we are not the guys that are going to push you into that house. That's one of our first conversations we have. I'm Dave Ramsey following son of a gun here. But it's just some of them were really easy to get done.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about. That was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I think that person, it wasn't a new construction deal, but they had like a gift fund or something like that from a fiance maybe. and they wouldn't let them use it. And I have no idea why they wouldn't let them use that, because that's totally legal and allowed to use gift funds from your fiance or family member. But I think I remember that one.
Mark, what's the one that made our head explode? Somebody had income from Etsy. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't big income from Etsy, and so they couldn't get it done for some reason. And we ended up getting the deal done, but the builder's mortgage company couldn't for some reason.
Yeah, it was like a little side income or something.
Yeah, and she was making like $60 a month or something, but it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 deals of the week. Can I show those real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about them.
Yeah. So they're actually both the same floor plan over in Jasmine Point. They're the Holly 2, or the new Holly plan. It's this one right here for $424 and this one here for $445. They're both pretty much the same house. I know this one has a gourmet kitchen. So they've reduced that one a little bit more than this one here. And I believe this one is right next to one of our other clients over there. Both of them have a pond view and then woods behind that pond. So,
yeah, I know the street you're talking about.
Yeah, super, super nice views and all. Now the shocker is for $425, it's 2,600 square feet. Like most of the time we're seeing that around 2,000 square feet. So you're getting an extra 600 square feet. They're finishing out this neighborhood, so that's why we're seeing some decent deals. I think they only have like 4 or 5 lots left, but these 2 specifically are specs, and they're just a really good deal. So they're in Jasmine Point, in the back of Cane Bay. Beezer is the builder. This is one of the last neighborhoods they'll actually have gas in their neighborhood, so they're going all electric.
Yeah, this builder, we like the builder. If you were to ask us what is the most efficient builder in the market, this would be one of them. They're the average cost of utilities is very low. They do a lot of insulation. They're doing 2x6 construction instead of 2x4. Doing the vape or the thermal barriers. They build a nice house.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they were seeing their average electric bill was like $115 a month or something on those.
Yeah. Let's get to some comments. I got some comments that rolled in. So Jerry said he's going to bring his wife's Kia Soul to the car show. Can't get much cooler than that.
That's actually one of the cars I'm looking at potentially, like something for the girls.
Oh yeah.
The Kias, the Hyundais, some of them smaller ones. Yeah,
and
you look cool with that, Jerry.
She's going to pull up in her Barbie Power Wheel.
That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Jennifer Shoemaker said, "Hey y'all."
Hello, Jennifer.
Hey,
I think Jennifer, if I remember right, she had a kid going off to college or something for the first time. It might be.
Yeah, I think she had a little cry going on this week.
Yeah, we'll cry with you, Jennifer. We're there with you.
We'll give her a hug at sales meeting.
I will.
Yeah. Jackie said, I was surprised to see over in Ridgeville area, Berkeley Bay, I think it houses starting at 500. I don't know that neighborhood off the top of my head, but
yeah, I don't either.
But like,
I wonder if those are bigger lots over there.
Timothy, that could be it. They could have the Hardy plank on, which drives up the price.
Yeah,
and then like Timothy Lakes is starting to get up there like that price, and they're over there in Ridgeville, but they have bigger lots and yeah. Cindy Brewer said, "There's my favorite lender." Chad Priest said, 3 handsome guys.
Oh, come on. Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? My goodness. look at that face on him there.
James, another realtor friend of ours, says, I love when I scroll and I see 3 kings doing their thing.
3 kings. I feel like I should be called king in my house here. My kids and my wife should start referring to me as king.
My favorite realtors named Mark and Jeff. That's sweet. I'm so glad to hear this. I've been thinking about if interest rates drop, how that works. Perfect. Fran said, hey guys. Hey, Fran.
Hi, Fran. Hope you're loving your new house.
Jerry said, my wife loves her Kia Soul. It's been a great little car.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. It's, I've got twins. They're both going to be driving soon. I don't want them driving and learning in my big truck or Andrea's big minivan. So I want something smaller, or I want something safe. I don't want them destroying my vehicle. It's really all about self-preservation for me. I don't care what they do. I just don't break my stuff.
Let them have the trike.
Yeah, put them in the slingshot. Yeah. Actually, the golf cart, once I kind of bought the golf cart with the intentions of, at least for a short time, when they do have their full license, being able to drive the golf cart to school, because it's in the neighborhood here. So it's just they've walked it before. It's a little far to walk every day, but they've walked it in cases of emergency. But to be able to take the golf cart back and forth might be a good solution.
Oh, I'd love to go to school in a golf cart. That'd be awesome.
I think that'd be awesome.
And that way, that makes sure they only stay in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, they can never, although this whole Life 360 thing, you always know where they're at. I cannot imagine if I was a teenager and my parents had Life 360 on me. My childhood would have been way different.
Yeah. Dr. Charles says, what's up, fellas?
Dr. Charles, what's up, my brother?
How you doing, sir? Robin said, good Lord. I think Robin said that just because she's not on tonight and she's a little jealous.
She should have been on tonight. We gave her the invitation. She could have been here. Yeah.
That's okay. We still love her.
Landon.
Yep.
Tell me about what is the requirements for money down for houses. So talk about USDA, VA, conventional. I know conventional's got a big swing. I think you can put as little as 5% down on the conventional up to whatever you want. What is FHA? What is VA? What is USDA?
Yeah. So biggest way to think about this is 96% of the entire U.S. residential mortgage market is broken up into about four main categories. You have your conventional loans, FHA loans, VA loans, and USDA loans. That pretty much makes up 96, 95%, depending on the year, the entire U.S. residential mortgage market. Conventional loans are probably the most used product, typically about 70 to 75% of the market on average. The lowest you can technically put down per the rule books are 3% as a first-time home buyer. There are ways actually to have a non-first-time home buyer put 3% down. Again, there's some income limits and depending on how many houses that they currently have financed. So there is a way technically for somebody that already owns a home that's looking to maybe turn that current home into an investment property, rent it out, and buy another primary residence to still put 3% down potentially. But usually 3% down for a first-time home buyer on conventional. And then after that, if they make too much money or have too many properties, 5% down is the minimum. FHA is a 3.5% down payment. VA is $0 down. So it's 100% financing. The one kind of big thing that a lot of people don't realize is, or it's becoming more aware in the public, is that you can actually have more than one VA loan at the exact same time. Because I've noticed that a lot of military service members that are active duty that have moved to the Charleston area, whether it's Coasties in the Coast Guard, Air Force, Navy at the Navy Nuke School, or even some Army people. There are some Army people attached to the Air Force Base. They don't want to use their VA benefit because they don't want to use it in Charleston because they know they're not going to be here that long. Well, you can actually use your VA benefit over and over and over again. So it's not just a one and done program. You can use it as many times in your lifetime as you want. If you have more than one home that is being financed or is already financed with a VA loan, we just have to run some numbers and see how much eligibility you have left over. In certain situations where somebody like a veteran already owns a home that was financed with a VA loan and they want to buy a second one, most of the time I would say they have 100% financing on the second one too, but if not, it's usually a really small down payment. I haven't really seen anybody be able to get 3 VA loans at the same time though, so typically it's about 2 max. And then USDA is probably the least used in our area or our part of the country. USDA stands for U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's 100% finance option, just like VA, but unlike VA, you don't have to serve in the military to use that product, but it's mainly used for rural areas. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture trying to grow home ownership in more rural areas. So basically what we have to do is for that program, we actually have to check the property eligibility for that exact home, where we basically go to a website on the USDA site. It looks just like Google, type in the property address, make sure on that map that that home is in an eligible area. But it is pretty popular. USDA loans are really popular in certain parts of South Carolina where there's more availability of homes there. But at least in the Charleston Tri-County area, Berkeley, Dorchester, and Charleston counties, there's not as many homes that are eligible. But there's pockets. I mean, there's pockets of Summerville where it's quite amazing that some of those homes are eligible, especially in some of the bigger neighborhoods, for example. Now, to take this a little step further and a little more sidetrack down, a little more road of avenue here, is even though conventional has a 3% down minimum threshold for first-time home buyers and even non-first-time home buyers for certain situations, there are ways to even drop that down to 1%. But the only problem with the 1% options for conventional loans is the amount of money somebody can make for that program is heavily reduced. So the likelihood of somebody being able to use a 1% down conventional program in our area to get approved for a $350,000, $400,000, $450,000, $500,000 home is almost impossible. But it is an option out there. Outside of those programs, there are other options for mortgages like jumbo loans that are $800, $900 million, up to $3 million in loan amounts, but we don't typically see that as often. But they are options, they are available. But then as far as down payment assistance, for example, the biggest one in South Carolina is South Carolina State Housing. It's handled through our Housing Finance Administration, or HFA here in South Carolina, called SC Housing. It's in Columbia. There's multiple different programs there. The traditional program provides $8,000 in assistance, no matter what county you're in. There's some counties that there's $10,000 to $12,000 in assistance, depending on it. And then there's some specialty programs still at SC Housing available, but we typically don't see those used as much in our areas. The biggest benefit to SC Housing is probably the yearly program that comes out. It's called Palmetto Heroes. Typically comes out mid to late April, early May. Only problem with that program is when it comes out once a year, usually around mid to late April, early May, and there's a finite amount of cash that's available for the program. So it's a limited funds program, and when the funds run out, it's over until the following April or May timeframe. The biggest thing for Palmetto Heroes is they typically boost the down payment assistance from the traditional $8,000. I believe this year it's been gone for a couple of months, so I haven't had to think about it for a little bit. But I think this year was $15,000 in assistance, or $13,000 or $15,000. I can't remember. But the only problem with that program is you have to work in certain industries. So the heroes of your community: police, firefighters, nurses, school teachers, EMS. So there's certain industries that are approved for this, even active duty military that are moving here for a short period of time. But that's kind of the lay of the land. There are other down payment assistance options out there that are not backed by the state of South Carolina or any agency out there. Those are options that we do look at, but those are typically a little bit more expensive, which means the payment on the monthly payment's going to be a little bit higher, so they're not used as frequently. But those are like the big ones and kind of the more kind of not as used programs available.
So Two questions real quick. On the USDA, you said it's 100% financing like the VA. Are they able to roll those closing costs into that too, or do they have to have the cash in hand for closing costs?
Yeah, so you got to have the cash on it. So you won't be able to roll them in. The only way you're able to roll closing costs in on a VA loan or a USDA loan is if the house appraises for more than you're under contract on. Then we can go back and raise the purchase price, as long as that appraised value gives us that ability to do that. So there is an option to do it. Just at the point of contract, we can't automatically tell somebody, hey, you're guaranteed to roll the closing costs in, because it's going to be based on what that appraised value on the appraisal comes in at. But there's plenty of times, though, where we've gotten people under contract for $400,000, the home appraises at $410,000, and they want to roll closing costs in, and then we raise the price of the home up to whatever we need the cover for the closing costs. I mean, it's totally eligible and totally allowed to do that. That's
amazing. So for a first-time buyer that wants to live in a rural area, a USDA loan could be a good product, but they're still going to need $8,000-$10,000 on hand for those closing costs, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, even though it's 100% financing, you're not going to get an attorney to work for free. You're not going to get an insurance company to give you free insurance. So there still are closing costs out there that you have to pay for, whether we can negotiate that immediately at the time of the sales contract, that the sellers pay that on your behalf through seller concessions, or we use possibly South Carolina State Housing to get some $8,000 in assistance from them, because you can do that. The one cool thing with South Carolina State Housing is it's just a normal conventional loan, FHA loan, VA or USDA. The only kicker is we're getting that $8,000 in assistance. So it's either we negotiate with the sellers to pay for that automatically on the sales contract, possibly use South Carolina State Housing funds to help that borrower out or buyer out, or if we weren't successful in those two routes, once we get the appraisal in, if we've got the room to go up, then we can look at possibly doing it that way.
Okay. So one of the big clients that we do a lot of, or the large amount, is somebody coming down and they have a home to sell in New York, Illinois, California, wherever, but they want to purchase down here now because I was moving my son all day today, and moving in one day is just like the worst thing ever, right? Yeah. So like what option could they do if they have the equity in their home to use that, maybe a HELOC for a down payment down here to purchase that home, or they just have the equity in the bank? There's something called a recast, right? Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter how we get the funds for the immediate down payment for the second home purchase prior to them selling their first home. But let's just hypothetically say somebody buys a house in South Carolina, they're moving here. They don't want to try to time up a home sale and a home purchase exactly, or maybe they just can't time it up perfectly. So we go ahead and buy the home in South Carolina. But then once they sell their home, wherever they're moving from, they're going to have X dollars more in their bank account. If they decide to want to put those funds back into the mortgage that they just purchased on the home that they just purchased, we can do something called a recast. And basically what a recast is, it's a single down payment or a large down payment that somebody makes post-closing once they're already making their monthly mortgage payments that will allow us to lower their principal and interest payments. So if, for example, if somebody were just to log into whatever company, if you own a home right now and you're making your mortgage payment and you log into your mortgage servicer's website, if you were just to go on there right now and dump $50,000 on your balance of your loan, your principal and interest payment's not going to change. Your $5,000 or $20,000, whatever, doesn't really matter. Your principal and interest payment is still going to be the same. You're just going to be paying less interest now because you have a lower balance on the loan. We don't really recommend people do that. Don't log into your servicing profile and just dump a bunch of money down. It's not going to help you out. What we recommend is a lot of people do, and there's even a couple people on this cast right now, or this live telecast right now, that have done this with us, where once they sell their current home, we've got a pocket full of cash and they want to lower their monthly principal and interest payment on the new mortgage. They notify me. We send them a packet to fill out. They have to fill out some paperwork to do this, and they notify us that they want to recast their loan. And basically what happens is, as long as that buyer is bringing a certain amount of money for a single down payment that is equal to or greater than 10% of the balance of their current loan, then once we receive those funds, we'll go back in and recalculate their principal and interest payment, thus lowering their mortgage payment for the remainder of the loan. So kind of the steps here are: you sell your house, you get the money, you notify us or notify me that you want to recast. I get you in touch with the servicing department. We send you a packet to fill out. There's a $250, $300 paperwork fee to do this. Once we receive the money, we will automatically then recalculate the principal and interest payment and then lower your mortgage payment for as long as you keep that current mortgage. Now, there are certain things attached to it that we kind of do need to go over. You can't just pay it down to $10,000 or $50,000. There's certain limits that we have to abide by within the first 6 payments or 6 months of ownership. But once you're outside of that 6 payment threshold, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do on it.
Is there a cost to that recast? I'm sorry, is there a cost to that recast?
It's about $250 to
$300.
Yeah, $250 to $300.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's use real numbers in a scenario that we've had plenty of clients do. So they want to buy a $500,000 house here in Del Webb, Four Seasons, next, and whatever. To buy that, they're going to have to. They could do a 5% down conventional loan, right? So we're basically talking $25,000, another $10,000 in closing costs. So if they have $35,000, $40,000, they can purchase this house. And then when they sell their house in New York, wherever it is, and they come down here with $200,000 in equity that they had left over when they sold their house, They just plop that down on as a recast, and their mortgage payment goes from this down to this. Is that I basically got it right?
Correct. Yeah. And depending on when they recast, how many payments they've already made, there may be a limit to what we can recast within the first 6 payments. But as long as their monthly mortgage payment is past the 6th payment mark when they recast, they can do as much as they want at that mark.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
We've had tons of people do this. It allows them to, because what sometimes we struggle with is we most likely cannot get a contract on a house here unless your house, wherever you are, be it here in town or out in the country anywhere, until that house is at least under contract. We have a difficult time often getting you a contract on your house here. So sometimes we've had this lined up where people get approved to buy the house here. And then if they get their house sold off in time, fantastic. Just bring all that money to the table on day one. But if it doesn't, then we can just recast it whenever we get it done. I did this on my house. It just because I didn't want to have to close at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday in one house and 2 o'clock on a Tuesday in the other house. I wanted to take a couple weeks to get in. So that's what we did with Landon when I did mine.
Yeah. And here's the big thing to remember, though. You can only do this on conventional loans. So kind of going back to that previous statement, 95% of the entire U.S. residential mortgage market's conventional FHA, VA, and USDA. The FHA, VA, and USDA, you can't do this. This is only for conventional. So you can't recast FHA, VA, or USDA.
Gotcha.
Miss Denise says, listening from California. Hello.
Well, thank you. Let's see. What time? It's about 5 o'clock in California. Just getting off work, probably jumping on. Thank you.
All right, Jerry's got a question for Landon. I'm a veteran, but my wife is not. Would her income count toward qualifying for a VA loan? That's a great question.
Yeah, so as long as you're legally married, even if your spouse is not a previous military member eligible for a VA loan, then 100%, as long as they're on the loan with you, their income would count. So the VA does have rules on who can be a co-borrower, whose income can be counted. But the two categories where somebody can have a co-borrower and use other income is either your legal spouse, doesn't matter if they serve the military or not, and also a non-spouse military member. So if somebody is not your spouse, but is VA loan eligible themselves and y'all wanted to buy a house together, then both incomes can count. But yeah, spouses, no questions asked, they're totally can use the income there.
Hey, Mark, isn't that Beyonce song? If you love the house, you got to put a ring on it. If you love it, then you got to put a ring on it. Isn't that what she was singing about?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think that was it.
Yeah, something like that.
We've actually.
I didn't think I was going to sing tonight.
I didn't either.
Funny enough, like we've actually had people be engaged to get married, but we've had them move their wedding date up or gone to a courthouse to get married just because of trying to use the fiance's income.
Wow, that's awesome.
Like I've literally seen, I don't think I've ever done it this fast for me, but friends of mine that are also in the industry or other loan officers at Atlantic Bay that I'm friends with in other markets, they've literally had people go to the courthouse, get married, get the marriage certificate, take a picture of it, email it in, then go to the attorney's office to sign paperwork.
Okay, wait. I know where you're going, Mark, right? I knew it. We are a full-service realty company. I have performed a wedding before. I am a chaplain. Your realtor can marry you on the day of the closing, and we will make this happen.
And if you want, we'll keep it hush-hush. So you can still have your big wedding and all of that.
Blowout. We'll just, hey, how fun would it be to do the wedding at the house? We'll sneak the keys, and we'll do the wedding at the house.
We could easily do that.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
We'll video it for you, too.
Oh, that would totally be a good YouTube video.
Yeah.
And since I was a paramedic, I've delivered babies. So 9 months later, if you have a really great night that night, we can even help you with that. Now, I do have to see your hoo-hoo, but outside of that, I can deliver babies.
All right. So moving on, we got 4 great listings right now, Jeff. I want to talk a little bit about those before we go. Is that okay?
Yeah, bring it.
Yeah. So they go from, surprisingly, how it's listed on the website here, they go from smallest to largest as far as price point. We've got one in Monk's Corner, would be a great starter home. That price just dropped $10,000. It's got a brand new roof on it.
New roof.
Yeah, like right before we listed it, it's got a brand new roof.
Yep.
So that's amazing. And then this one here in North Creek, Nexton, I am just flabbergasted as to why we have not got this under contract yet.
I love this house. If you haven't seen this house, go to our website. It's on a pond lot in Nexton, and the back porch is phenomenal. They have a big fireplace built, and it's got like a metal roof on the back porch. I would absolutely want to sit on that back patio and listen to the rain. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. And then we got one in your neighborhood, right, Jeff?
Yeah, great. So listen, my neighborhood is full. Lennar has come in and bought all of Carnes up, and it's all Lennar homes for new homes now. But before Lennar moved in, there were 7 different builders in here. This is a David Weekley build. Really, really nice stuff in this house. It's very pretty, master down, great amenity center coming to Carnes here. And this house actually has lower taxes. There's a community development fee that is not on the new Lennar, that is on the new Lennar houses, that is not on these houses. So this is a really pretty house.
Yeah, I really like that one. And then over here on the last one, if you want lakeside living in Cane Bay, this is in the Coves. Very sought after community.
Yep.
Got really pretty colored houses. Beautiful. It's kept up really nice. They have a boat landing or launch right from the neighborhood saltwater pool that overlooks the lake. And this home is like literally on the lake. Like if you like to kayak, you can pull your kayaks out through your backyard, get in this canal, which is, I think, a couple miles long, that then goes out to a 350-acre Cane Bay Lake. So,
yeah, and they've done some good stuff with this house. They put in a beautiful, I don't even know what it's called, this like really snazzy brick out back on the back porch. Travertine.
Yes.
And then they put some flooring down in the garage. They did a lot of really nice stuff to this house.
Yeah, I really like it. All right, Landon, any final words from you tonight? Anything you want to talk about that we didn't talk about?
When is Jeff going to wrap the new vehicle?
I'm not.
You're really not?
I can't. No, I can't. The
Can I get you a big magnet?
When the vehicle, no, listen, when the vehicle is wrapped, it has to be classified as a commercial vehicle, and the commercial insurance rates shot through the roof this year, and that's why I had to get an unwrapped vehicle. I was not paying $7,000 to insure my car for the year. I was so ticked off, and I miss the Bronco every day, and that's a sore spot with me, Landon. So thanks for bringing it up.
Now, the last question I have.
All right.
Can we get a cold brew machine in y'all's office?
Listen, you have keys for our office. Bring one in.
Yeah.
I'm wanting you to buy it, though.
Oh, I see how it is. Yeah. No. Hold on. Let me ask the boss. Mark, can we have a cold brew machine in the office?
It's not in the budget. Sorry.
No, sorry. I checked with the boss. He said no.
All right. Well, the last thing I will say, though, for anybody out there that's trying to think about buying a house in the next 3 to 6 months, I would definitely say over the next 30 days is kind of your window, and it's kind of the sweet spot right now. I had the same conversation on Sunday with a first-time home buyer. Actually, not a real first-time home buyer. She bought a house like 10 years ago and sold it, and it's been renting for like 9 years. But anyway, this is kind of your opportunity to get under contract on homes right now before the rates we suspect to drop in mid-September, late September, once the Fed meets. So a lot of people out there, you can get under contract still with all the incentives and everything today. Mm-hmm. We sit on the file. You have a prolonged closing, maybe end of September, early mid-October. We keep the file unlocked. We don't lock the rate, because I've got about 6 or 7 or 8 loans right now where we're just sitting and waiting to see what the rates do. We're not locking anybody, because if the rates aren't going higher, you're not losing money. There's a 0% reason to lock the loan. So everybody's kind of in this weird window right now, because historically speaking, February and August have been the slowest months for real estate, at least for my business personally, where you can still get a house under contract, get the same closing cost incentives, maybe some reductions in list prices, depending on the neighborhood. There's some neighborhoods where there's no such thing as a discount, but some there might be some benefit there, right? Yeah. And then we wait for the rates to drop. So not only did you get the pre-interest rate reduction contract benefits, but then we waited to close you in an extended prolonged closing so that we could lock your rate once all the Fed meeting notes and everything come out to determine what's really going to happen there. And that's actually the same conversation I had with somebody on Sunday, and she took my word for it. And we've been looking at houses for 6 months, and she finally got her contract on something.
Wow. Mark and I have tons of inventory that isn't going to be done for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 months. So, that's something to think about also, is that there's plenty of new construction that we're going to go under contract now that won't be done until closer to the end of the year.
Yep.
Yeah, and people are taking advantage of the lower interest rate contracts.
Yep.
So
Shelly is watching from Michigan. Hey, Shelly, how's it going? Aaron and I are excited to come meet you in a few months.
Shelly, my one daughter's heading to Michigan next week, so keep an eye out for her. If she needs help, I'm gonna have her give you a call.
Awesome. All right, well, we're over an hour today, so that's a good thing. We always like to see the questions and the content being put out and all that. If you guys want to talk more, we would love to book a Zoom call. You can click into that charlestonarealiving.com under contact us. It says schedule a meeting, or just go directly to that link. We'll throw up a QR code here for about a minute. Once we end here, you can scan that QR code too. And we would love to chat, try to find, figure out what the lifestyle that you want to live is for the budget that you want to pay down here. See if we can't match it to a community or an area for sure.
And you can get to Landon through that also. Whenever you fill that out, just put a note in there that you want to meet with Landon also, and we can get him on a Zoom call with us.
Yep. All right, everybody. Well, until next week, 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, we shall see you then.
See y'all.
see you guys.
Thank you.